The security klaxons at Stellar Academy screamed their highest alert level for the third time that week. Maya clutched her data slate against her chitinous chest, her compound eyes widening in terror as the red warning lights bathed the crystalline corridors in crimson. Apex predator detected. Shelter in place. Apex predator detected. Not again, whispered Zik, a Veluxian student whose 6 legs trembled beneath him. His species had evolved as prey animals on a moon where everything hunted everything else. The alarm triggered ancestral panic in every cell of his being. Maya, a quilnary from the peaceful garden world of Veshanine, felt her breathing spiracles constrict. She had come to this prestigious intergalactic university to study xenobiology, not to face death 3 times in 1 week. Her people had no natural predators. The very concept of being hunted was alien to her gentle species. Everyone, into the reinforced shelters. Professor Kelmthos bellowed, his translator struggling to convey his urgency. The amphibious Aquarian professor ushered students toward the panic rooms, his webbed hands gesturing frantically through the transparent aluminum walls. Maya caught a glimpse of the creature that had triggered every biometric scanner, every threat assessment system, every evolutionary danger protocol in the entire academy. It was Ferit. He was just walking to class. The human male moved with that characteristic, loose-limb gait that the university's threat detection AI had flagged as predatory. Locomotion, his forward-facing eyes scanned the corridor with casual awareness, a trait that marked him as a hunter species. The AI had calculated his bite force, analyzed his binocular vision, noted his exposed canine teeth, and concluded, apex predator. But Ferret just looked confused. Guys. His voice crackled through the communication system, his universal translator working perfectly. Did I miss something? Is this a drill? Maya watched from behind the shelters, force-field as Ferret scratched his head. Another gesture the AI had flagged as potential grooming behavior seen in territorial predators before attack. It was holding a coffee cup. The human Zigthar's voice pitched into ultrasonic frequencies. It's loose again. Why do they keep letting it roam freely? This was the paradox that had plagued Stellar Academy since humanity had been granted admission to the Galactic Coalition. Humans checked every box on the predator assessment matrix. They had evolved from pursuit predators who hunted by literally chasing their prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They saw in colors to spot ripe fruit and fresh blood. They had the most endurance of any sapient species. Their planet turn was a death world of extreme temperatures, toxic atmospheric oxygen levels, and gravity that would crush most species. And yet, here was Ferret, looking utterly harmless in his university hoodie, sipping something the humans called cappuccino. Is anyone going to tell me what's happening? Ferret asked, his eyebrows. Yes, the humans had hair above their eyes knitting together in confusion. Maya made a decision that would change her life. She stepped toward the force field controls. Maya, Professor Kelmthos gasped. Your xenobiology degree isn't worth your life. But Maya had been studying humans for 3 weeks now, ever since they'd arrived at the academy. She'd read every file, watched every documentary, analyzed every behavioral pattern, and she'd noticed something the fear-locked safety protocols hadn't. Humans were predators, yes, but they were also something else. She deactivated her section of the force field and stepped out. The corridor fell silent except for the klaxon. Ferret's eyes, those forward-facing, binocular, depth-perceiving hunters, eyes focused on her. The AI screamed warnings about predator attention, lock-and-prey acquisition behavior. Hey Maya, Ferret said, smiling. The AI flagged his exposed teeth as threat display. Maya knew better. It was a greeting. Hello Ferret, she replied, her translator converting her chemical signals into audible speech. The Academy's safety system detected you again. Ferret sighed. A very human gesture. Because I'm an apex predator, right? He made air quotes with his fingers, those opposable thumbs that had let his ancestors craft tools and weapons. Yes, Maya said simply. Look, Ferret set down his coffee on a nearby bench. The movement was slow, deliberate. He was being careful not to startle her. Maya's studies had taught her this. Humans were incredibly aware of how threatening they could be. They modulated their behavior around other species constantly. I'm not going to hurt anyone, Ferret continued. Humans, yeah, we evolved as hunters. Yeah, we're pretty good at it. But we also evolved something else. Empathy. We domesticated wolves, for crying out loud. We made friends with other predators. We chose cooperation over domination. Behind the force fields, students watched in horror and fascination. My grandmother, Ferret said, his voice softer now. She used to rescue injured birds, tiny, delicate things. She'd stay up all night feeding them with an eyedropper. Even though her hands that could crush those birds without effort were gentle enough to never hurt them. Maya's xenobiology training kicked in. She'd read about this. Humans had an unusual capacity for interspecies bonding. They formed emotional connections with virtually any creature. They adopted predators, cared for prey animals, wept over fictional aliens in their entertainment. They were Paradox's apex predators with the nurturing instincts of caregivers. The system sees what we were, Ferret continued, gesturing to the still screaming alarms. It doesn't see what we chose to become. Maya stepped closer. Around them, more students emerged from the shelters, watching this small moment of connection. You're right, Maya said. Our systems are calibrated for threat, not potential. They see predators, not people. Ferret grinned, another threat display that Maya now understood was joy. So, want to walk to xenobiology together? I promise not to bite. That's not funny, Maya replied. But her translator conveyed the humor in her chemical signature as they walked down the corridor together, the predator and the prey. The alarms finally silenced. Professor Kalmthos made a note to recalibrate the safety systems. Perhaps they needed protocols that measured not just capability for harm, but capacity for kindness. Behind them, Zixstar tentatively emerged from his shelter. If Maya gentle prey species Maya could walk beside a human, perhaps he could too. Ferret grabbed his coffee and offered Maya the Danish pastry he'd been saving for break. The gesture, small as it was, spoke volumes. Humans were apex predators who chose to share their food instead of guard it, who chose cooperation over competition, who chose friendship over fear. The alarms had screamed apex predator, but they'd missed the most important part. The human walking to class was also capable of compassion, curiosity, and care. And maybe, Maya thought as she accepted the pastry, that made humans the most remarkable species in the galaxy in spite of their predatory nature. But because they'd evolved beyond it while keeping all the strengths it had given them, Ferret was just walking to class. But he was also walking humanity toward a future where the galaxy might finally understand. Being an apex predator didn't mean being a monster. It meant having the power to harm and the wisdom to choose kindness instead. And that was the most human thing of all.